Thank you, and good afternoon. Welcome to the Public Works Committee for March 7th. Today, we just came together. We have two tender reports in front of us that the manager would like to move to council, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of conflict? Seeing none, can I have someone approve our agenda?
Moved.
Moved by His Worship, second by Councillor McAleer. I need someone to adopt our minutes from February 22nd.
Moved.
Moved by His Worship, seconded by Councillor McAleer. Is there any business arising out of those previous minutes?
Madam Chair, just through you to the chief engineer or manager. Scott, last night we were discussing our capital budget. Have you looked at the revised list of
Your Worship?
projects?
Is this in our minutes?
Yeah,
This has to do with our minutes that we just approved?
yeah, because we talked about capital budget in the last meeting.
No, we didn't talk about capital budget in our last meeting.
Okay. Can I bring it up under new business?
Okay,
Okay.
that's great.
Thanks.
Okay, so any business arising from the actual minutes? Not seeing any, so we're going to move right into reports. The first one is the West Royalty Community Center washroom renovation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we issued a tender for the upgrades of West Royalty Community Center washrooms. These are the washrooms that are currently on the second floor of the building. They are not accessible, and they were identified as a priority for us because this is a community center that gets used in emergency situations for our public. Again, we're working towards making sure all our facilities are accessible, especially during emergency situations. And also, we were fortunate to be able to leverage some funding through two different partners to cover the costs of this work. So we issued a tender, and tender recently closed. We had 5 bidders, with one bid being disqualified due to failing to include their bid bond or certified check as part of their tender. As such, we are recommending to award this work to WM&M 1993 Limited in the amount of $82,000 plus all applicable taxes.
Thank you, Scott. Fairly straightforward. Good to see so many bids put in. Can I have is someone willing to support this move to get it onto council for approval, or are there any questions? Moved by His Worship, seconded by Councillor McAleer. Okay, we'll move that one. Thank you. The second tender we're looking at is the Hillsborough West Royalty Community Center generator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Recently, we issued a tender to install a permanent generator at both Hillsborough Park Community Center and West Royalty Community Center. Currently, both these facilities are used during emergency situations as a shelter. They are currently powered by what we call portable generators. So we have 2 generators on a trailer that get towed and put into place when needed. These are the reason why we're wanting to move to a permanent one is just for the ease of use right now. And I'll take West Royalty, for instance, as I'm familiar with an issue we had before with it. These permanent generators will automatically kick in and continue to provide power to the building when the power is off on the grid. In the past, what has happened is when the power goes off in West Royalty, especially during the winter months, it gets very cold quickly because it's such a large building. And it usually takes us a couple hours to get the generators up there, hooked up and running. And then at that point in time, it takes a number of hours to bring that building up to a comfortable climate before we can allow individuals to use that facility. With these permanent generators, it provides us with more resiliency in our buildings and allows us to redeploy these generators at other facilities that do not currently have a generator. So we've also been able to leverage funding through 2 funding partners to cover the costs of both these generators. And so we're recommending to award this work to Hanson Electric in the amount of $136,300 plus all applicable taxes.
Thank you, Scott. It seems like that was the lowest bid. Someone to move this on to council?
I'll move it.
Moved by His Worship, second by Councillor McAleer. Perfect. We'll move those to council for
So motion's on the floor?
resolutions. So I'm coming back to you, Your Worship, as we're introducing new.
No.
Oh, yeah.
The motion's on the floor.
The motion's on the floor. Do you have a question on the motion?
I do.
Okay.
So Scott, these are for Hillsborough Hall, West Royalty Community Center. Did we not have in the budget Eastlink Center carry facility for backup generators?
So, Your Worship, or through the chair to Your Worship, so those are in the budget under the EMO team. That's where they were looking for them. Because the reason why we made these two requests immediately, because we knew there's funding available, was because these are our primary facilities that get used in an emergency situation. So we wanted to ensure that these facilities that are our number one go-to positions are ready to go when we need them. And so that's why the application was made to get these two up and running right away, because they are fully accessible facilities, so they get heavily used when we call upon those facilities.
So, Madam Chair, through the chair to Scott Adams, so during Fiona, Hillsborough Hall was opened. Were you just using a portable generator? Is that correct?
Yes, so we have two portable generators. I think, well, they're 80 kilowatt apiece or very close to that. And they're both sized for either Hillsborough or West Royalty. And those have been used for a number of years in the city, and they're still in great shape. Our plan will be to redeploy them to other facilities that either through EMO or Public Works that we've asked for further generators. So they're going to be redeployed. We're not going to get rid of them. A few of the ideas may be using one at the Cody Banks Arena. In the event of emergency, you could use the Maple Room there if you had to. It helps keep the ice if we're in the middle of winter and you need to keep the ice in for whatever reason, things like that. So those are things that we're going to use. Those are options that we're looking at right now on where to redeploy those at other city facilities.
And Madam Chair, the reason I bring this up, because during the Hurricane Fiona, I know that you were out at Malcolm Dare day and night. Malcolm Dare does have its own backup generator, which was part of the build when it was built back in the early 2000s. And now with these portable generators, I think it was mentioned by the council from Ward 4 about having the availability of backup generators, the portable generators, to use for, let's say, Jack Blanchard Hall, or use just over here at the Kirk of St. James.
Yep.
I think this is what we need. But on that, the reason I bring up the whole issue of the backup generators, there is an Atlantic Canadian company, and it's based out of Halifax. It's called Sales Outsource Solutions, and they have this Sesame Solar Nanogrid solution. It's a 100% renewable power solution that utilizes green hydrogen, solar, and batteries to generate power. This solution has many applications, including emergency response, disaster recovery, as well as critical infrastructure power backup generation. Sesame Solar is a very nimble organization, therefore they are able to custom build solutions that meet the varied needs of the world today. So I'm just, again, their system can go up to 600 kilowatts, scalable to 1 megawatts. Like, you know, it's got a lot of potential use. Plus, it's addressing or working in correlation with our climate change plan for a race to the zero by 2040, 2050. So Scott, I'm going to forward this email to you and also the members of the committee, that this is something that we should look at as possibility of working going forward on addressing the backup generators.
You know, I would probably encourage forwarding that to our EMO team as well, because I think we're looking at buildings primarily through Public Works Committee, but to me, that sounds like something our EMO team would be looking at, you know, and I'm sure there must be funding and stuff in place for working towards sustainable energy and whatever. It sounds great, but you can forward it to us, but I think that that belongs maybe in the EMO.
It does. So EMO
Division.
would be Chief Tim
Chief
Mamie
Mamie.
and Chief Brad McConnell. No, I will send it off.
Because I think they
Again,
have to
it's-
still look at.
It's a local Atlantic company, Sales Outsource Solutions, and it's part of a manufacturer sales group.
Yep.
So,
I'm sure they-
again, it's all about that race to 2040, race to the zero by 2040. This would be part of the solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the motion was on the floor, and I'm going to call the vote to move this to council. 2 or nothing, thank you. And your worship, I know you want to pipe in under new business too, so we'll see what your new business is.
Oh, so the new business is, just to follow up with our discussion yesterday on capital budget. I know we didn't have the details, but I'm sure that you're in consultation with the senior management team on how, you're going to have to, how you will have to revise your plan, because I think your initial plan was for $50 million, correct? If I go back, it was up there in that area.
Somewhere in that range, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you prioritize what you need for going forth?
Yep, you're through the chair to the mayor. Yes, so senior leadership has set up meetings for tomorrow, I believe, that department heads and senior leaders are going to be going through the capital budget and reviewing the needs of the city and the priorities going forward that I think is going to be presented as a package next week to council. So those are going to be ongoing discussions over the coming days that we'll be looking, that we'll be combing through and making a recommendation.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, this is a follow-up what I think we were discussing yesterday. Seaview Boulevard, the tender for that, is in the budget 23-24. Eastern Gateway Waterfront Plan Phase 2 is in 23-24 budget, correct? Because it was just awarded, Phase 2.
I have to go back and confirm it all. The Eastern Gateway was, the whole package is in phase 1, or it was started in last year's budget. This is just in phase 2. We said it was one big project, but we wanted to break it out into two phases.
But we approved it last year for 23-24. And just to get a better understanding, Madam Chair, through yourself to Scott, so the federal provincial funding through ISIP and so forth, what's our dollar contribution? Would it be, like, the latest one being 8 million plus? Would it be 2 million, 4 million, the city's portion? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand. Something we'll look at, but it will be presented next week as well. And I will say too, we've also reached out to our partners at the province and ISIP to see if there is options to increase that funding request, because it was made, I think, 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
Long ago when prices were much lower than they are today. And so we did make that request, and I had a few calls into there to see if there is any room to increase our ask just as a result of the project and the cost inflations over the number of years. So we're trying to leave no stone unturned and try and find more money to fund all our projects.
So, Madam Chair, I'm just asking that he could forward those numbers to us via email on the Eastern Gateway contribution from the federal and the provincial governments. Thank you.
All right, so that was good. I see nothing further for today for discussion. I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor McAleer, second by His Worship. Thank you, and everyone stay safe.